Hello and welcome to 3rd Avenue North. That was the 2nd Avenue Pier, by the way. But we're not here to talk about the pier. We're here to talk about a motel that has a very sketchy history and is going through some odd things at the moment. So we're going to dive into that. First of all, which buildings am I talking about? There's a whole bunch of buildings here. Coral Sands are these 5 buildings. These right now are closed, and I'm going to dive into why they're closed right now. So back in October of last year, the City of Myrtle Beach Police declared this property a nuisance to the point where they were ordered to shut their doors, close business for 1 year. Coral Sands, this place right here. So you might ask, so what were they guilty of? What caused them to shut down? Drug activity, prostitution, violent crime. But the thing that really stuck out, that really grinded the gears of local city officials, if you will, is the fact that the management, according to the report, was bartering rooms, discounts for drugs, and services via the prostitution that was occurring on site. All that wound together was the demise in October of last year that forced them to shut their doors. So at this point, it's a pretty straightforward story. We've got a location, a motel, that's been basically taking bribes for illicit activities, and the city didn't like it, so they shut them down. Now, this was in October of last year. Fast forward 1 month in November. Before we get to that, let's get our feet on the ground and check out this pool from down here. There appeared to be some movement inside the building. I don't know if it's actual tenants or just people like me walking around. Don't know. Didn't go check. Anyway, back to the story. So in November, City Council voted to tear down the building. So you might say, hold up, I thought they were only supposed to close for a year. Well, according to the city, the repairs to this facility to bring it up to code far exceeded the property value, which in their eyes justified the vote to tear down the structures. It's worth noting that at the city council meetings, the owner did represent himself and claimed that he would make the repairs. Now, you could argue back and forth if this is a legitimate, justifiable move for the city to force a business owner to tear down their building. There are mechanisms in place to authorize this sort of thing, but this specific scenario, were all the prerequisites really checked off in order to make that move? We'll get back to that in a moment, but I want to point out that the Sea Cove Motel, right next door to the Coral Sands, not related, different owners, different properties. This building has been here forever in this exact state. It's right next door. See, that's the Coral Sands on the left, that's the Sea Cove on the right. And it's got an amazing view of the pier. We just pan down here, you can see Coral Sands on the right, Sea Cove on the left. Interesting thing about Sea Cove, back in 2016, that's right, 6 years ago, I walked through this whole building, documented it. It's been on the channel ever since. So if you're curious about that building or abandoned stuff in general in the area, I used to do a lot of videos on that, not so much anymore, but go check it out. It's there if you want to see it. Anyway, enough of Sea Cove. Let's get back to Coral Sands. So what is the state of the Coral Sands right now? It's kind of in purgatory. It's not technically abandoned. The power's on. The owner's responsible for the property. Not abandoned, but closed for sure and cannot do business. And it's in this limbo of, is it going to be torn down? Is it not? I say the possibility of not because the owner did express the desire, whether it was true or not, to make the repairs. So there could be a fight via an appeal of some sort. But until that time comes, as you can see from the property, all we've got are pedestrian barricades along the property. Also, I want to point this out. If you're going to fly your drone, watch out for trees, because that'll happen. All that we see here are pedestrian barricades. These aren't construction fences. They're not prepping for demolition. They're not gutting the building to get rid of asbestos. Nothing like that. While we're here, I want to point something out. This building fronts the road, right? And some of these rooms right over here, the doors literally open to the boulevard, or did. And as I was flipping through some photo reviews on Yelp of this hotel, I noticed this. Check this out. Missing windows that lead right out to the boulevard. That just blows my mind. So there's one example of the status of this motel before it shut down. So before I went off on that door tangent, where were we? We were across the street next to the mini mart. So let's go back over there and get a closer look of that building. So as I was saying, the buildings are not ready to be demolished. It's not going to happen tomorrow. And if this thing gets caught up in the court, who knows when it's going to happen. I'm not holding my breath. That is the 2nd Avenue Pier over there. Mentioned it already. Beautiful view of the ocean. Earlier we saw the 3rd floor, let's call this the suite. I don't know if it's suite anymore, but we saw the other side of it earlier. There it is, right there. All busted up, windows out, doors out. This is the back side of it. That window's busted out as well. That would have had a really, really nice view. So one thing I want to do, since we're at this location, I want to go over to the Sea Cove, and I want to emulate the view you would have had if you were on the 5th floor during the heyday of this hotel. Very cool thing I noticed is you can see the ocean in the reflection of this glass if you look really close. Also, you can see in some of the rooms, but like I said, if you want to see inside these rooms, go to my video from 2016. I go inside of them. You can even see the pier in the reflection. But anyway, if you're in one of those rooms, let's turn back time a couple decades. This is the view you would have had. This is outstanding. Aside from that beat up building on the bottom of the screen, you would have seen the pier, the ocean, and you could look up and down the boulevard. Enough of that. Let's get our feet on the ground and let's walk around the property and get a viewpoint from the pedestrian level. We'll start from the ocean side. So the ocean is to our back. This is the crash site of the drone earlier. So this was the building that was not attached to the main, we'll call it main campus. This is across the street. It had the mini mart in the front. That is the 3rd floor suite we saw from the sky just a few moments ago. Now progressing to the Boulevard. So we are beyond that first building. There's the Sea Cove in the back right. And obviously the 3-story building in front of us is the Coral Sands. Interesting that they left some of the windows unboarded on the top floor. And the City of Myrtle Beach notice plastered all over the place. You can see them there, the pink and the yellow notices stapled all over the place. So don't get motion sickness here, a little wobbly, but this is a view into that courtyard that we've already seen from the other side and from the sky. This is the area I mentioned there was some shuffling going on in there. Not sure if it was human or animal, but either way, I wasn't going to go check. I believe this was the residence that the owner lived in or family lived in. I think it was private. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was private. Here's a look from the south side looking into the complex. And there's the boulevard right there. All right, guys, you tell me in the comments, did I get my story right? Is this really the status of this establishment? And let me know what you think about what's going on. Does it deserve to be torn down? Does it deserve to be saved? What would you do if it was your choice in this scenario? All right, guys. Until next time, take it easy.